So, hello everyone. I will talk about practical side channel attacks. So, I will first start with an outline of the talk. So, I will introduce a little bit about the topic. What are side channel attacks? Why do we care about them? How do we do them? How do we defend against them? And then I will talk a little bit more practical about the training itself, and I will cover topics like what is training, how this training will be useful in a security career, and what to expect and what not to expect from the training. So let's start with the side channel attacks. So what are implementation attacks? Implementation attacks are those attacks that do not aim at the weakness of the algorithm, but at the weakness of the implementation. And there, side channel attacks are passive, non-invasive attacks. And actually, side channel attacks represent one of the most powerful category of attacks on crypto devices. So you all know we have different ways how to attack a cryptographic device, so different ways how to do cryptanalysis. But actually, in many scenarios, side channel attacks are the most powerful attacks. And then side channel attacks we can divide into direct attacks or non-profiled attacks. Those attacks like simple power analysis, differential power analysis, and two-stage attacks like template attack or various machine learning-based attacks. So, profiled attacks have actually a quite prominent place when we talk about side channel attacks, because in many scenarios, those attacks are the most powerful ones. How do they work? Well, we have two phases. We have a profiling phase where the attacker estimates the leakage model for computation, and then he tries to exploit that information to extract the key in really the actual attack. And there, from the information theoretic point of view, template attack is the most powerful attack we know. But we can see actually that there are many ways how we can do the attack. So here we see a general scheme for all types of profile attacks. So what do we have here? We have a device under attack, and we have identical copy of the device. So how would profile attack work? There will be an attacker who will have the identical copy of the device, and then he would use that device to build a model. And after a model is built, he will use that model to really attack the device under attack. And depending on the quality of the model, profiled attacks can be extremely powerful attacks. Sometimes we need only a single trace to really obtain the key, to break the implementation. So how do we connect side channel attacks, side channel analysis with machine learning? Well, actually, we can see that machine learning techniques represent really powerful option if you want to do side channel analysis, because there is a clear connection between profiled attacks, so the attacks according to the scheme I just talked about, and supervised machine learning. So in supervised machine learning, we have two stages. We have a stage where we train, and we have a stage where we test. So connecting that with the profiled scenarios in side channel, training phase is like having the identical copy of the device, while testing phase is like attacking the device under attack. And actually, if we talk about machine learning for side channel, there are a number of methods we can use to obtain really good results. And recently meaning last couple of years, actually we also saw deep learning techniques started to be used in side channel analysis. And there we saw especially good results with a type of deep learning called convolutional neural networks. So what does it mean? It means side channel analysis is quite wide domain, and there is a number of techniques how we can mount attack. If we talk about profile attacks, again, there is a number of techniques how to do it. If we talk about non-profile attacks, there is a number of techniques how to do it. So in a way, we have a large arsenal how to successfully mount attack. And of course, it's not always so easy to understand what is the best way how to attack. Of course, if we do not have the identical copy of the device, we for sure know we need to conduct non-profile attack, the direct attack. But for instance, if we consider that we could have the identical copy of the device, then maybe it's not so trivial anymore to decide, do you want to use template attack? Do you want to use machine learning? If you use machine learning, what machine learning technique do we use? How do we know the results are good? How can we compare with other results? So those are all questions one should be able to answer, at least partially, to conduct good side channel analysis. So talking about the training, let's discuss what is the training. So what are the parts of the training? So the training is 2 days of training, and basically it's 2 full days of work, so quite intensive training, so there will be a lot of work. It's a combination of theory and hands-on. So it will work in a setting where we will talk about theoretical background, what are side channel attacks, how to do them, and then we will try to really do some attacks. The whole course is divided into 7 modules, and when we do experiments, I prepared 4 data sets for participants to use to try. So who should attend? Well, I would say anyone interested in side channel attacks would be a good audience. I will assume no prior knowledge on side channel, so this course will cover both beginners and advanced topics. Since we will talk also a lot about machine learning techniques, some basic understanding of machine learning is a plus, but it's not mandatory. So even if you do not know about machine learning, you will still be able to follow the course, but maybe some stuff will be a little bit less clear because there will be simply not enough time to also cover the topics from the machine learning perspective. And of course, to facilitate the course progress, participants are expected to know Python, because with Python we will do machine learning. But in general, I would say participants are expected to know how to program in at least one programming language. Since during the course, we will also try to implement some of the attacks, so there will be some coding. If participant does not know anything about the programming, then that could be difficult to follow. So basic information about the webinar, about the course. So like I said, 7 modules. First module, side channel attacks in general. So in this module, I talk what are side channel attacks, how do we divide them, what is there, what are the leakage models, what are the distinguishers. Then I talk about non-profile side channel attacks. There we go quite some more into details, and we talk about how to do correlation power analysis, differential power analysis. We will implement something, we will run some experiments, so we will really try to obtain the keys. Basically, this will be already real hands-on. Then I will talk about performance metrics. So how do we assess how successful is our attack? So there I will talk about success rate and guessing entry. Next, actually we will see that a really important topic is what are the points of interest? So what are the points in traces that we want to use to attack the measurements? And actually, how can we select those points of interest? Or do we even need to select them? As we will see, for some techniques, we don't even need to do this step. So we'll find out what are the distinction between various techniques, when do we need to have points of interest selection, when not, and so on and so on. Next, in module 4, I will talk about countermeasures. So we will cover basic types of countermeasures, so hiding countermeasure, masking countermeasure. I will explain what are those, how can they help us to defend against side channel attacks, and actually when we will be doing some of the hands-on, I also provide you with measurements from data sets that have countermeasures, so you will have the hands-on experience how much more difficult it is to attack something that is protected. Next, we'll talk about profile side channel attacks. We will start there with template attack. I will talk about pooled template attack, and then we will go for machine learning. With these techniques, you will see that you can do much more powerful attack but some prerequisites needs to be fulfilled. So since we said 2 days, basically the setting is module 0 to module 4 we do in the first day, module 5 then module 7 we do in the second day. So a little bit more details about the second day and specifically about machine learning based attacks. So what we will do, we will start about discussion how to use supervised, semi-supervised, unsupervised types of feedback so for machine learning. Then we will cover a number of algorithms that are commonly used in side channels. So algorithms like naive Bayes, random forest, support vector machines, multi-layer perceptron, convolutional neural networks. Depending on the speed of the group, we will implement at least some of those algorithms, will run some experiments. So participants will have opportunity to see how to really run the experiments, for instance, with random forest, how to check the results, how to evaluate the quality of the results, and so on and so on. Of course, we will also discuss how machine learning can be actually used to select points of interest. And there we will see that we can use machine learning techniques to select the points of interest and then later use the same techniques to really do the attack. Alternatively, we will see settings where we will leave for machine learning algorithms to do the selection of the points of interest on their own. Then we'll discuss how to properly run experiments, since the more complicated the technique, well, there is more stuff one needs to care about. And with this kind of setting, we will actually see that it's possible to run experiments in a way, in different kinds of ways. So you can run experiment wrongly and you will get wrong results, but you can run it correctly. But even if you run it correctly, there are still various ways how to do it. So you can do it in a simple setting and it will work, it will be correct, but maybe it will not work really well. Or then if you know how to do many small tricks, actually you will see that your attacks can become much more powerful. And then finally, we will discuss one really important topic, that's the hyperparameter tuning. So with the profile attacks, actually with machine learning attacks, we will see in a way the more complicated the machine learning technique is. Unfortunately, often that technique comes with a number of parameters you need to tune. If you do not tune it, or if you do not tune it properly, your technique will work, but the results will not be really good. So we will actually spend quite some time to discuss how to do hyperparameter tuning, what are our options. You will see also that such hyperparameter tuning is not often easy. From the computational perspective, it can last maybe even days, weeks. So we will also discuss, does it make sense to do really detailed hyperparameter tuning, or can we just do a sort of hyperparameter tuning and still obtain really good results? In essence, with machine learning setting and our course, I will guide you through the full life cycle of running profile attacks. So what will be the full life cycle? We would start with the raw data, so measurements, for instance, from obtained from the device. Then there will be some data pre-processing, then feature engineering, then model selection and hyperparameter tuning, and finally model validation, which maps to really doing the testing, or in side channel terms, doing the attack. And we will try to cover all the phases except how to obtain raw data. So let's see more how this training will be useful in a security career. So hopefully the goal of this training is, first, participants will obtain understanding of side channel attacks. So you will understand what are side channel attacks, why are they powerful, how to do them. You will understand non-profile attacks, profile attacks. You will understand common countermeasures against side channel attacks. And finally, you will obtain real experience, practical experience, because you will run a number of side channel attacks. So non-profiled attacks, profiled attacks, you will run different machine learning techniques There will be code, some of the code you will write, some of the code I will already provide in the form of the script. Data sets will be provided. So even later at home, you will be able to run some experiments and see what is happening, what happens if you change something, do you get better results, do you get worse results, and so on, so on. So finally, what to expect, what not to expect. Well, we will run examples, we will write code. We will cover a number of topics important for understanding of side channel attacks. Emphasis will be given to profile attacks and especially those that are based on machine learning. Why? Well, simply because many topics connected with the more traditional types of side channel attacks, for instance, like differential power analysis or correlation power analysis, you can actually quite easily find online. You can find already finished code. So some of the stuff, I would say it's maybe a little bit simpler. So I would expect participants being able to do parts of the stuff we do not cover there on their own at home. But it's important to say we will cover the whole life cycle of a side channel attack and not only just the last part, so really running the actual attack, because we will see there is a big influence on that whole life cycle. So if you do a proper reprocessing, proper feature engineering, proper hyperparameter tuning, we will see the attack is much more powerful than if you just neglect those phases and just go for the first algorithm there is. So what not to expect? Well, of course, since the time is limited, we have only 2 days, which is a lot of time, but still we cannot cover all possible details of the topics. Of course, if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer it, but it's impossible to do the full side channel attacks in 2 days. We will not consider how to implement algorithms or how to acquire measurements. What does it mean? So we will not implement, for instance, AES and then obtain the measurements. I will provide you with already measurements. Why? Well, simply in 2 days, we do not have enough time to run the measurements, so to obtain, to run the acquisition of the measurements. That's a process that lasts depending on the algorithm, depending on the implementation, and so on, but that lasts quite some time. And it would also require that you know how to use the equipment like oscilloscope and so on. So we will not do this in this course. Connected with us, we will also not cover equipment setup and possible issues coming from that. Important, although microarchitectural attacks are a type of side channel attacks, we will not cover microarchitectural attacks in this course. And finally, although I said we will run machine learning algorithm and deep learning algorithm, those algorithms will be a little bit simpler, a little bit smaller. So for deep learning, that deep learning will not be so deep. Why? Because we cannot assume that all participants will have powerful enough laptops to run big networks with big examples. But of course, you will learn the concept how to do it. And then if you have that equipment, it's up to you to use. So some final remarks. As already said, well, side channel attacks have a significant role in modern security evaluation. So actually, we will talk about it, and you will hear about how many modern labs, actually security evaluation labs, certification labs, need to have a proper side channel analysis of various devices, of smart cards, of various equipment, and only if those devices are resilient in some level against side channel attacks, those devices can be actually used in the real world. So recently, now we also have that deep learning is becoming mandatory part of that kind of security evaluation. So basically, I want to say, if you are interested in something like security evaluation labs career, side channel attacks and how to run them is a significant role there. And like I said, in recent years, we see a great increase in the popularity of machine learning techniques, and consequently, I will try to follow that line, and I will give you quite some material on machine learning techniques, machine learning attacks, and with all these details, you will be able to know how to run powerful side channel attacks. And since I said in the course, we will cover both basics and advanced concepts that will allow you to start or continue with your work in side channel domain.